is Mock Draft Tuesday, which means another mock draft here on the channel. This is an interesting one. I've made some very interesting picks, but the NFL draft, as we all know, is unpredictable. And unfortunately, the talent in this year's class, as I've talked about a lot at this point, is just not to what we would typically think of at the top of a draft. It's just unfortunately not. The 2027 class appears to be excellent. I'm going to do a video talking about some of those players this week, so make sure you are subscribed. Stay tuned for that. And we're going to kick things off at number 1. The top 18 picks are set, and the remaining picks, of course, we will see what happens in the playoffs. Did my playoff predictions video yesterday. Make sure to give that a look-see so you can tell me how wrong I am, and I probably will be. If you have ever used my code at Underdog, or I guess even if you haven't, you're going to want to hear this because Underdog is offering a special contest for the 2026 playoffs. You can compete against me. So either if you've used code Bengal already, or you can use code Bengal for a shot at a share of $5,000 in Underdog bonus entries prize pool, or use the Google form below to sign up and see the full rules and prize breakdown. You can use the Google form if you did not use my code if you used somebody else, but you still want to be entered to win my contest. That's okay too. But if you can't be bothered to read the rules, this is the summation. Make 10 unique player picks for each round of the playoffs to be eligible for a weekly prize of $500 in Underdog bonus entries and a minimum of 40 total picks throughout the playoffs for your chance at the total prize, with first place claiming $1,500 in Underdog bonus entries. So if you're a new customer and you use code Bengal, or if you've been an existing customer and you used code Bengal at some point in the past, you are automatically eligible. But if you use somebody else's code, you can still be eligible. You just need to put your Underdog account username in the Google form down below. I'm going to link it, and you'll be eligible to participate. You cannot use alt projections. That's important to know. It has to be the default, and these are 5. It has to be unique players per each round, so you need to make another 5. Let me know down in the comment section below or on Twitter what you're going to do. But I've got Chuba Hubbard, lower rush yards, Bryce Young, higher fantasy points, Tyler Higbee, higher receptions, Colston Loveland, higher receptions, and Jacoby Myers, higher receptions. It can be in 2 entries. It can be in 5 entries. You just need to include 10 unique players per round. These are 5 of my picks for the first round. I've got to make another 5. That's where you guys come in to help me out, hopefully, even though I guess technically we're competing against each other. But also, please help me. I want to win. The full rules are down below, but again, like no alt projections, tokens, no streaks or ladders, just to make it fair. Predictions will not be counted. It's got to be player picks only. So if you have the predictions on your phone, you can't just pick the Bears to win, and that counts for 1. It has to be unique players. And the top individual with the highest win percentage for a minimum of 10 individual player picks, not based on winning entries, just the players, will receive a weekly prize of $500 in Underdog bonus entries. So use code Bengal. The link is down in the description. The links, I should say, are down in the description. Please remember to play responsibly, and good luck. And at number 1 overall, we're going to go Fernando Mendoza. I'm sure a big surprise at this point. You know, I've seen a lot, though, recently that people are kind of down on Mendoza as a number 1 overall pick. And I feel like there's a lot of people that really haven't genuinely watched Fernando Mendoza, because playing quarterback is not necessarily who's the biggest or the fastest, who has the strongest arm. There's a lot more to it. It's about what's in between the ears. It's about the intangibles, and it's about being accurate. I think Mendoza is all these things. I think he can run an offense. I think he's obviously crazy smart, and he is quite accurate. He's able to stand in the pocket, take hits, and still deliver the ball on time and on target. Those are really important attributes of playing quarterback. Why are we down in Mendoza? He has taken Indiana, with obviously a lot of help from the best coaching staff in college football right now, under Kurt Cignetti at Indiana. But it's an Indiana team that was pretty good last year, obviously, first year for Cignetti, but was awful in the years leading up to it. And now they are undefeated. They just beat Ohio State to win the Big Ten. They dominated Alabama at the Rose Bowl. Fernando Mendoza is legit. Indiana, obviously, at this point, is legit. There's no question. Whatever happens, whether they win a national championship or not, I don't know. But Mendoza is a fine number 1 overall prospect. And I think at number 2, that's where Dante Moore is. I saw Todd McShay talking all about how, Dante Moore should totally go back to school and bypass playing for the Jets because the Jets ruin everybody. And I agree with that sentiment, right? But it's like the Raiders are not better. The Jets actually have a pretty good situation to walk into. They've got two very good and very young offensive tackles. Armand Membu, it would be my pick for Offensive Rookie of the Year. It just would be. I think he's played as well as anybody from this rookie class. Obviously, it's going to go to a skill player. It's going to go to a quarterback, either Tyler Shuck at this point or Jackson Dart. But in my opinion, Membu has been the best. And then on the other side, they spent a first-round pick on Olu Fashanu. He is awesome. And then the interior is not bad either. When they're healthy, they've got really good players. I don't know if John Simpson's going to be around long term, but obviously Elijah Vera Tucker, Joe Tippmann, it's a good unit. And then they have a bona fide wide receiver one in Garrett Wilson. Todd McShay is talking about how Dante Moore can go back to Oregon and make an equal amount in 2026 at Oregon as he would playing in the NFL with his rookie contract. This is absolutely untrue. There is a 0% chance, 0.000 repeating chance that Dante Moore is going to make going at number 2 overall. There's no chance Oregon can match that over the rookie contract. Let's go ahead and take a look at the number 2 overall pick from last year's draft and see the guaranteed money. So this is the Travis Hunter contract from last year, and typically these things get more and more expensive year over year. 4 years, a little over $46.5 million, all guaranteed. Then this is not strange. This is Cam Ward, 4 years, close to $49 million, fully guaranteed. Abdul Carter, 4 years, $45 million, fully guaranteed. I can understand going back to Oregon to focus on your development, but you cannot even try to compare the financial sides to it. It's not even close. Dante Moore could probably make upwards of $7 million going back to Oregon, maybe even as much as 15. I'll tell you what 15 million is $45 million. It's a lot of money. It's life-changing money. It's not $45 million. And I think Dante Moore is a solid prospect. He can make all the throws. He's certainly a good enough athlete. He's in play to be the number 1 overall pick, in my opinion. Going back to school and risking injury, risking playing worse, there are so many variables. You can be a top pick in this year's draft almost certainly, or you can go back and compete with other quarterbacks that maybe will be ranked higher than you in the 2027 NFL draft. There are some good QBs expected to be in next year's class. Arch Manning among them. So Arch, who has played great down the stretch, capped off a really solid season. Obviously, Texas didn't end up making the college football playoff, but Arch is certainly the front runner to go number 1 next year. There's no question. So are you going to guarantee that you're going number 1 next year and to a better spot? The Jets coaching staff is a big problem, and really it starts at the top. Ownership is awful, but the actual personnel, the roster on offense, it's a pretty good situation for a rookie quarterback to jump into. I know we spent a lot of time on this, but I had to talk about some of this stuff because, like, one, I get it's the Jets, but come on, dude. I just couldn't believe that point when I saw it. Anyway, moving on to the Arizona Cardinals. This stretch for me here is like there's nobody to take because there are a few what I would consider to be blue chip players in this draft. Caleb Downs, Arvell Reese is in the conversation, but the play kind of dropped off. Jeremiah Love. And in terms of true first-round talent type of players, there are not many, maybe 10, right? So who is worth going at number 3 overall based on how we typically view a top 3 pick in the draft? It's really nobody, unfortunately. So it makes these picks kind of difficult. But in the end, I'm going to go Spencer Fano for the Cardinals. I think it is too high for Spencer Fano because I don't look at him and see a top 5 or maybe even a top 10 player. But he's athletic. He's a plug-and-play right tackle here. There is value. This is a first-round type of player. Just seeing him in the top 3 is a little bit strange to me. But I don't know what else the Cardinals would do here. You could take a receiver, but even so, the receivers are not necessarily your typical top 3 type of picks. Fano plugs a huge hole. Right tackle is a big problem, really, in the entire offensive line, with the exception of Paris Johnson Jr. I think could use an overhaul, either getting younger or getting better. Fano just ends up making the most sense. I don't know who's going to be playing quarterback for the Cardinals next year, whether it be Kyler Murray or somebody else. Murray, I think a lot of people expect to get traded, but I don't know who's trading for him and taking on that contract. And I'm not sure the total financial ramifications the Cardinals would have if they were to trade Kyler Murray. There are a lot of moving pieces to trading a player like that, especially when he's not nearly as good as his contract would suggest. It's a weird spot, but whoever is playing quarterback, we've got to protect them a bit better, and Spencer Fano at least accomplishes that. As I'm going to go Carnell Tate at number 4. I've had him as the top receiver off the board for a while now, and it's not necessarily that I think he's so much better than Mekhi Lemon or, of course, Jordan Tyson. It's just that I think he's the cleanest prospect among those guys. Because what are the downsides of each other receiver? Jordan Tyson, long list of injuries. It's whether it's, something in the lower half or the upper half. He's broken his collarbone, he's torn his ACL, he had a hamstring injury the entire year pretty much. He's a game-changing type of receiver, but can you rely on him to stay on the field? This is a question, and that's going to cloud whether he's going to go in the top 5 or even the top 3 or the top 25. It really is not a given. I'm really interested to see what ends up happening with Jordan Tyson, but that's his big detractor is health. And then you have Mekhi Lemon. His big detractor is size and speed, I guess, the athletic package. Because I love Mekhi Lemon as a prospect. He is sub 6 foot, sub 200 pounds, and he's not going to run by you. But his understanding of how to play receiver is so good. I love Mekhi Lemon. But the way teams draft, they're liking guys that can stay healthy, productive, but also have that size and speed. Mekhi Lemon does not really have the size and the explosiveness and the speed. But he wins in other ways. Carnell Tate doesn't really have anything working against him other than he's not the best receiver on his own team because Jeremiah Smith is actually a generational type of prospect. Tate, I think, is elite, though. He's got the size. He is also sub 200, but he's 6'3", at that 195. He's a fluid mover down the field. He is certainly a good route runner. It's improved a lot based on where the tape was in the summer, or when I watched in the summer in the 2024 season. I like him as a player. He's a ball winner, and he can get open with top size. I think that's something that ends up going as the top receiver in the draft or, top 5 off the board. I think there's a pretty good chance he will be the first receiver taken. And then you get the Giants at 5. And I'm not sure that they would necessarily take Jordan Tyson because, again, same thing we talked about, the injuries maybe pushes him down the board. They've got one receiver coming back from a huge injury in Malik Neighbors, torn ACL. It's also theorized that maybe it was not just a torn ACL. I'm not going to speculate, but some have said torn meniscus was involved as well. I don't know the details. I'm just saying that was said. I don't know if that's truly the case, but we know some type of knee construction or reconstruction in some capacity. Not going to get into the medical side because I don't know. But maybe they don't want to bring in Jordan Tyson and then, okay, maybe Neighbors isn't the same player. Tyson's got some injury stuff, and then you're stuck with Darius Slayton and Isaiah Hodgins. Wan'Dale Robinson's a free agent. Don't really know what's going to happen to him. The Giants may not bring back Greg Van Roten. They may not bring back Jermaine Illuminor. The O-line has been better than it was because the standard was in the basement. But they may opt to go with an offensive lineman here. And because this is always a receiver for me typically, I'm going to go with an offensive lineman, and that is Miami's Francis Maui-Noah. I think there's a chance he can stick at right tackle. A lot of people view him as a guard. I think it's important to note that. He's really strong, and I could see why people would want to move him inside. Maybe you don't necessarily love him on an island, but I've liked Francis Maui-Noah when I've watched him. I think he can play right tackle. I don't really have a huge problem with him sticking on that right side. But if it doesn't work out, I do agree that you do have a plus guard. And the Giants really have needs at both. So does this feel a bit high for him? Maybe. I think he's got a chance to go ahead of Fano as well, though. And the drop-off on the offensive line is fairly extreme. I think Caleb Lomu's close to these top two. But after that, it's like you have fringe round one guys at best. Proctor probably ends up going round one because of his size and pedigree, but not crazy in love with him as a prospect. Blake Miller's got a chance to go round one. Caleb Tiernan maybe a chance to go round one. But a lot of these guys seem like day two picks. Like Jennings Dunker is not a round one player. I think Caleb Tiernan's going to end up going round two. Sierreveld, I think, is going to end up going round two, and he might be a guard. A lot of these guys just might be guards or day two picks. Monroe Freeling is kind of in that same conversation, but we'll see about him. So if you want to upgrade on the offensive line, the Giants need to get better in the trenches. At number 5 overall, it might just be your best spot to do that. I really haven't got a chance to rant, so here it is. I've said a little bit on Twitter, and I am a Giants fan, as you guys know. I would never want the Giants to lose. But the fact of the matter is that's pretty much all the Giants do, is lose. Since 2017, the Giants have fewer wins than anybody. The Jets are right there. You combine the Giants and the Jets, there are still 9 NFL teams that have more wins in that span than the Giants and the Jets combined. These two franchises are so sorry. The Giants are so lucky that they have lucked into wild card runs in the playoffs to end up winning Super Bowls. Without Eli Manning and a great pass rush in 2007 and 2011, what do the Giants have? You've got Lawrence Taylor in the 80s and 90s under Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick, playing great. You won 2 Super Bowls. You were great. Outside of that, the Giants have pretty much been the laughingstock of the NFL, and especially over the past 15 years. They have been absolutely disgraceful as an organization. It also starts at the top because just like the Jets, the Giants have another incompetent owner that's obsessed with only keeping his family in power. Hey, I got an idea. How about get some football guys in there that know what they're doing, know how to build an organization? It's incompetent at the top level, and it's year in and year out, and then Joe Shane gets to keep his job as the general manager. Listen, I know these are real people. You're not rooting for real people to lose their jobs, but the NFL is a cutthroat league, and if you do not produce, they're going to go find somebody who can. Yet Joe Shane, year after year, has produced one of the worst on-field products in the league, in professional sports. And hey, he's back for 2026. Let's put a smile on our faces. Now, I actually think, and maybe there's a little bit of Giants fan bias to me, I actually think there's a chance that the Giants are good next year because Jackson Dart looks to be a pretty good pick. Abdul Carter looks to be a pretty good pick. And obviously the Brian Burns trade was very nice. Like, it is coming together. And then suddenly the Giants might be a fringe playoff team next year, and it's like, oh, what a genius keeping Joe Shane. I just think it's a disaster up and down. And again, going back to I'd never root for the Giants to lose. Well, hey, you were the first team eliminated from playoff contention in 2025. Yet again, year after year, you're going to put your best product on the field in the final 2 weeks of the season when you've got absolutely nothing to play for. Listen, I get that the players and coaches don't want to lose because you got to put good tape out there because your NFL career could be over, whether you're a player or a coach. But the fact of the matter is, the Giants are addicted to winning meaningless games to tank your draft position. If the Giants were able to retain the number 2 overall pick, which of course they didn't because they won again, or if they were able to lose to the Raiders, again, you're not rooting for them to lose, but you'd be picking at number 1 or number 2 in the draft with your franchise quarterback possibly in Jackson Dart. You can trade down from either of these selections and get, no doubt, an extra first-round pick to plug one of the innumerable holes on this team, yet they haven't done it again, and now you've missed out on that major opportunity to either add another first-round pick in this draft or a first-round pick in 2027 where the players are absolutely unbelievable. It's just a disaster being a Giants fan. I hate it. I know other franchises have it worse. We're looking at one right here. At least I've got to see 2 Super Bowls. But the fact of the matter is, over the past 10 years, no one has been worse than the New York Giants. They suck. Anyway, Francis Maui Noah is the pick. We got the Browns at 6. And, you got some options here. I'm going to go Jordan Tyson because the Browns receiving core has been lackluster and disappointing, whether it's Cedric Tillman or whether it's Jerry Jeudy. There's no one that I feel comfortable with to be the guy at receiver for the Browns. Jordan Tyson is worth a swing because this guy's a stud. Again, the injury stuff is a little bit of a concern, and that could absolutely drop where he goes in the draft. But all it takes is one team, and just from the film alone, Jordan Tyson is right there as wide receiver 1 in this draft. He is a tremendous talent. He is, when healthy, explosive. He's another ball winner. Throw it up. He will come down with it. He can create after the catch. Jordan Tyson checks every box except for the health box, potentially. Commanders at 7. I'm going Arvell Reese here because I do still think there's a chance that Arvell Reese is the best player in the draft. The impact down the stretch was not as much as I was hoping for, just because I love watching great players play. And he just did not really take over games down the stretch. And Ohio State, of course, eliminated from the CFP. We can't see him have a better game. He's just going to be in the draft, and what you see or what you've seen is what you get. We'll see what type of player he ends up becoming. But why is this a fit for the Commanders? Well, 1, I think you can make an argument that he's the best player available. And 2, I love him stepping into the Frankie Louvu role, where Louvu was awesome for the Commanders a couple of years ago, not necessarily so much in 2025. I think Arvell Reese could be really, really productive in that role. Maybe he's playing the Von Miller role. I think Dan Quinn's going to find a way to get this guy to be a monster. I'm not saying he's necessarily Micah Parsons, but he could be deployed in a similar way. You look at how Micah was used off the ball and on the ball as a rookie. Arvell Reese can do that. Now, is his true value down the stretch or through the future of his career off the edge? Maybe so, but he's not necessarily a super developed pass rusher at this point. But Micah Parsons was in a similar spot. If you can get him with Dan Quinn and coach him up, well, maybe you're going to have a real difference maker. And I think even if he's not Micah Parsons, if you can get Frankie Louvu out of him, that's pretty good. Prime Frankie Louvu was a very, very good player for not only the Panthers, but this Commanders team as well. I like the fit. I really do. Saints at number 8. We're going Ruben Bain. There are absolutely questions about whether he's going to play inside or outside or both in the NFL, but I think at the end of the day for me, Ruben Bain is going to be a difference-making defensive lineman. He is powerful as hell. He's a sawed-off shotgun. I tweeted that out. I feel pretty good about that. He packs a punch. The arm strength or the arm length may be suboptimal. It's reportedly sub 31 inches, which would be wild. We'll see what it actually comes in at, but that's very, very short. And off the edge, when you're trying to get your arms into the tackle and make something happen, especially as a power rusher, that could be a bit of a problem. You're not necessarily going to be landing first contact a lot. Now, that's going to show up less playing on the inside. You get to dominate against guards. Bain's going to be faster, more explosive, and really, really strong. So he's still able to make an impact in that regard. I think you can try him as a base end, but I think his true value is going to be playing somewhere from 3 to the 5 on the defensive line. I think 3 tech makes a lot of sense for him because he's close to 280 pounds. You can make an impact. You're big enough to hold up against the run on, passing downs very easily. And then obviously as a rusher, it's a crazy mismatch. So is he better as a base end, just defend the run on the outside and then slide inside? I think that's a pretty good fit. I just think he's going to find a way to make an impact regardless of where he is. I don't know if he's ever going to be a super high sack guy off the edge, but there are guys who have not had the best measurables in the world and have still been productive, whether it be Aiden Hutchinson with slightly shorter arms, still goes high, still dominates, right? Trey Hendrickson, high pressure guy, turn into the high sack guy. I think Ruben Bain could be quite a nice player. And the Saints really need an upgrade somewhere on this defensive line, really multiple places. As we get to the Chiefs at number 9, I think it's got to be Jeremiah Love, right? Patrick Mahomes, don't really know when he's going to come back from injury. You're hoping somewhere around probably October for Mahomes, but there's no guarantee whether that's going to happen. Might want to lean on the run game. The problem is there's no run game to lean on. You just don't have the playmaker back there. Enter Jeremiah Love. And then when Mahomes does get back, you can still heavily feature the running back. I think, and for someone that can catch out of the backfield as well, Love is going to be such a great addition to this Kansas City Chiefs team. I'm talking about it like it's already happened, but it's a fit that makes so much sense. And if he doesn't go at number 9, I could absolutely see a fall happening. I could see Dallas at 12. I could see that. I could see the Jets at 16, but I think they'd like to keep Breece Hall. I think they would. There's no guarantee whether they're going to be able to. They might franchise tag him, and if you're only going to franchise tag him and he doesn't either want to play on the tag or want to sign an extension, running back at 16 makes sense. And I'm going to tell you why, because the Jets have so many first-round picks. Yeah, they have number 2, but they also have a few next year, which seems crazy to say, but they do. They have more picks at the top of the second round. The Jets have so many picks. Can you afford to take a vanity pick when it looks like that? I think you absolutely can, especially for a game changer like Jeremiah Love that just has a different gear. But here he goes to the Chiefs. Vikings obviously would make sense as well. Cowboys at 20 would make sense. And that's probably about the only landing spots I can easily see in the first round. I don't think Love falls below 20. I really don't. I think I would be surprised if he got out of the top 12. But we'll see what happens. At number 10, have the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going Caleb Downs here. I know the Bengals have other needs, but Caleb Downs is just the best player available. He is a game changer at safety, which is kind of a rarity. But he plays in the box. If he can play in that Kyle Hamilton or what you're seeing Nicky Manwari do in Seattle, Caleb Downs can be a game wrecker. That's a destroyer of screens. He doesn't miss tackles. He's instinctive as hell. I don't know if you're going to be playing him over the top, but he is someone that near-ish to the line of scrimmage, he is a monster. He can come inside and defend the run. He can chase it to the sideline. And, of course, he's good enough in coverage, no question. Really, really good player. You can see the Bengals going a number of different ways here. And really, pick of the 3 right here. David Bailey as a pure pass rusher off the edge. The Bengals have been missing that. Peter Woods as an explosive 3-tech on the interior. Sonny Styles playing Mike. Be a big game changer off the ball. Like, those are good options for the Bengals here at 10. I just opted to go with Downs. At number 11, got the Miami Dolphins. I'm going David Bailey here. I think the Dolphins really lack not only depth off the edge, but talent. I don't think you can rely on Bradley Chubb over the future. He's older, very expensive as well. And he had a good year, but you've got to get more depth and add more talent. I like Chop Robinson. My only concern with Bailey is that you're getting two kind of, I don't want to say undersized edge rushers, because Chop isn't like the smallest in the world, but he's not really this rugged defensive end that can set the edge and make plays. He's really more of a speed rusher is his value. But even he has not been as productive as you would probably like. David Bailey, similarly to Reuben Bain, is a guy that is not going to necessarily be the cleanest prospect in the world. Bain, obviously, with the arm length is the big concern, and he lacks bend as well, which clouds his projection to the edge. But David Bailey is a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter, and is not great against the run. Now, he's made strides, he's made improvements against the run, but he's a great pass rusher. And he finds the ball. I like David Bailey. He could even be the first edge rusher off the board. Now, where does that end up being? It's hard to say. But I think the Dolphins, big need a corner. I get it. I think Bailey made more sense here for me. Cowboys at 12, going Sonny Styles. He's arguably a top 5 player in this draft. He has one missed tackle, and we just saw it happen against Miami. It was after he basically threw an interior offensive lineman aside, and then Mark Fletcher ran through him. That's it. He doesn't miss tackles. He moves like a safety because he used to be one, even though he's 6'4", 6'5", 250 or close to it. He is an awesome, awesome player. The Cowboys need to upgrade linebacker desperately, and Sonny Styles would be that. He is fantastic. At number 13, but he drops a little bit because of positional value. Linebacker just not a highly valued position in the NFL, even though I think a good one is super valuable. Rams at 13. I just talked about corner, but I think Styles is a bigger need. Bailey made more sense to me at the time. I am going to go with a corner right now, though. Mansour Delane from LSU. He played great this year, and I think the Rams are one of these teams that I don't think they're going to care that he's maybe a little bit smaller and not the craziest athlete on the planet. He's just a good football player. His ability to mirror and match, I think, is quite good. I think he's good in both man and zone coverage. I think he just checks a lot of boxes. He had such a great season, and I don't know what the arm length is going to come out to. Again, why does this matter? Press man, you got to make contact with the receiver first. It's a value to be able to redirect. And I don't know if the arms, he doesn't really look that long when you watch him, but it is a factor for teams. That's why we bring it up. But I think he's just a good player, and the Rams really need to upgrade at CB2. I love Quentin Lake playing the nickel. When healthy, he's a really good player, just got extended. But you need something on the outside. I think Delane could be an impact player on the outside. Ravens at 14. Going Peter Woods, because that interior defensive line needs to be upgraded. I keep talking about I'm not rooting for it, but I don't know if Nnamdi Madubuike is going to play again. That's a little bit concerning. It's not a definite thing. Maybe he needed a year off and he's going to be good to go in 2026. We don't know. We do not know. Now, Travis Jones did get extended very recently. So that's one filled, but he's not the same type of player that Peter Woods is. He's really, I would say, a space filler, block eater. Peter Woods is explosive, can shed blocks, and can get after the quarterback. And obviously that explosiveness shows up in the run game as well. He was the number one player in the draft for me coming into this year based off of summer scouting, and even seeing him as a freshman. He was awesome. Just didn't really see that level of consistency in 2025, and that's why he drops a bit. But the potential is as good as anybody in this class. Peter Woods, in 2 or 3 years, we'd be saying, how did this guy get out of the top 5 or top 10? He is clearly the best player from this class. It really would not be shocking to me. Bucks at 15. We're going to go with Keldrick Falk. He's got a chance to go higher than this. He got a chance to go lower than this. Thanks for telling us nothing. But Falk has some work to do as a pass rusher. I really kind of like him more as an interior player. But he's probably going to end up being just a big edge rusher. And the Bucks historically have loved this type. I'm not saying he's William Golston, but I feel like in terms of the frame, they're similar, I think. 6'6", 281 for William Golston. I don't know why that popped into my head. Just maybe connected him to the Bucks for the first time. But I think Falk could be that type of player. He's good against the run. He's got some work to do as a pass rusher. But I think he offers you a high floor. He may never be the double-digit sack guy, but he can hold up against the run. And I would love him to slide inside on rush downs to be, more of an impact player there. And I think that could be certainly an interesting way to use him. Now, we always say that about players. Oh, you're a tweener type of guy. Can you move inside? You can play both. Oftentimes, these guys aren't moving around as much as it feels like they could. But it's tough to ask these guys to essentially learn, multiple responsibilities in a defense. There are a lot of variables, but I think Falk is a high floor player. May never be the big sack guy, but certainly can set the edge, hold up against the run, and offers you a little bit of juice as a pass rusher. Certainly uses that length, but he needs refinement. Jets at 16, going Mekhi Lemon. So high on him as a player. I think he drops a little bit for reasons we talked about earlier. Not the biggest, not the fastest, not the most explosive, but the things Mekhi Lemon does, he does so well. This is another ball winner. I don't care if he's 5'11". I don't care if he's 5'8". The guy goes up and he wins the ball. He's so strong. 50-50 balls seem like 80-20 balls for Mekhi Lemon. He can do enough after the catch, and he's so strong. And his ability as a route runner is so, so good. It's finding the blind spots, getting onto the toes of these defensive backs, turning them around, creating space at the top of the route. These are things Mekhi Lemon does really, really well, and I think he's going to end up being a stud player. Jets get him here at 16. They need more help at receiver. Garrett Wilson's awesome. I think Adonai Mitchell could become something good. But if you can use Lemon in the slot and on the outside, move him around a little bit, he's so talented. I think I wouldn't want to say can't miss prospect about anybody, but I feel like Mekhi Lemon is going to end up being a very good player. Production is a lot about target share, so I don't know how much he would get the ball on any given team that could draft him, but I think the talent to me is undeniable, and he's going to be a good player. Not going to guarantee he's a 1,000-yard receiver in the NFL, but he's got that type of potential very easily. Lions at 17, going Caleb Lomu. I think it is time for the Lions to consider a plan after Taylor Decker, and Lomu is that. Very big, very athletic. Well, big as in tall. He is only about 310 pounds, give or take 5 on either side. I know he's listed there at 308, but I thought he was like 315. But I think if you can not be forced to play him right away, coach him up, get some more functional strength, the movement skills are pretty good, and he's a future starter. There are a lot of different ways the Lions could go here, but based on the board, I feel like that was the best in this particular scenario. At number 18, I'm going to go Jermod McCoy. I think the Vikings can afford to take a swing on a high upside defensive back here, and that is certainly Jermod McCoy because he's coming off of a major injury. But I think based on the 2024 tape, he is a top 5 player in this draft, and he would be one of my few blue chip players. Why does he fall to 18, torn ACL? We didn't see him in 2025. However, he was reportedly practicing with Tennessee and basically about ready to go. So I think we will see him work out in Indianapolis at the Combine, or if he decides to skip that, I think we will see him at his pro day, and I think he will be ready for week 1. So I feel like you're a bit concerned that you didn't see him in 2025, but apparently he and Tennessee mutually agreed that it was the right decision to not play in 2025. Seems a bit bizarre that the school would agree with that when they're trying to make a playoff run that ultimately didn't materialize because they didn't win enough games down the stretch. I don't know. But McCoy, so talented. And again, I think he would be a top 5 type of player based off of 2024. We just didn't see him for a year. So I don't know what that does. Does he still go top 10? Does he fall out of the first round? I think if the medicals look fine, he's going round 1. He's arguably the best corner in this class. At number 19, have the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to go Cassius Howell here. He's another one where I don't know if he's actually going to end up being a first-round pick because he looks like a designated pass rusher. He's not the biggest. His arms are also really short, and this is a factor for teams drafting. However, he wins in ways that are not necessarily predicated on having long arms. It's speed. It's setting you up outside and then getting back inside. It's, showing off that ghost move on the outside. He's bendy. He checks off a lot of boxes. It's just, will he hold up against the run? And is that arm length going to be a big problem in the NFL? It could be, but the Panthers absolutely need to upgrade their pass rush, and Cassius Howell off the edge can help you do that. Cowboys at 20. Going to go Avion Terrell. I think they need more in the secondary. And corner, you just cut Trayvon Diggs. I've been talking about that in these mock drafts, that was a possibility. I didn't think it was going to be during the season, though. Thought it would be probably after. And we'll see if he ends up getting absolutely cooked in the playoffs. That'll be interesting to watch. But they need to upgrade, I think, on the boundary and in the nickel. And Avion Terrell, I think, even though he's smaller, he's like 5'9", 5'10", 180. I think that I don't really care that much because when you watch him, he is really, really good. He's got the peanut punch down. He's a forced fumble artist as well. Really, really fun player to watch. And I think if the size dictates, maybe you move him to the inside. But I think he can also play on the outside. I really like Avion Terrell as a player, but he drops a little bit due to his size overall. As we get to the Steelers at 21, where I'm going to go Casey Concepcion. And I've done this before, but I like it. I think he is explosive as hell. He's electric with the ball in his hands, and I think he can also play on the outside. Again, Size, typically you're going to say this is a slot guy, but his ability to beat press is quite good for someone that's a smaller-ish receiver. And the ability at the catch point you wish was a bit better, and the hands in general are not amazing, but if you can find a way to get him the football, he's going to make plays. And I think he's going to end up going round 1. And the Steelers could use a player like this. They clearly do not really trust Roman Wilson. Concepcion is a nice addition to this offense. Chargers, and for all those that want a quarterback, John Harbaugh just got fired after the Steelers won that game. I think there's a chance if the Steelers are out and the Texans beat them in this wild card round, I think the Steelers might opt to do the same. Say, hey, you had a great run. Mike Tomlin, one of the greatest head coaches. Might be time to move on. And I don't know that you're going to take a QB, especially given who is available. I think Trinidad Chambliss is going back to school. He's electric, though. Nussmeier is not a first-round type of player. Really, nobody seems to be. Ty Simpson just hasn't played well enough to be a first-round type player. Will he go in the first round because teams need QB all the time? Maybe. But for the Steelers, we're going to maybe hit the reset button a little bit on QB and take a bad year to hopefully bounce back in a big way if you're a Steelers fan. Chargers at 22. Are you used to me going Vega Ioane here? He's probably the best true guard in the draft, and that's where the Chargers, I think, look to go. Beef up the O-line. I also considered Caden Proctor here to play guard, just because he seems to be the type that they like a Mekhi Becton-esque, where you just take the big, strong athlete and try to develop his functional strength. And if he could just have quicker feet too, as an actual tackle, that'd be great, and not just playing tight end. But Ioane is a true guard, and the interior is so bad for the Chargers. Tackle's going to get much better when Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater return, but the whole interior is awful. Bradley Bozeman's awful. Zion Johnson's been a big disappointment, and he was a pretty high pick. First-round guy. Vega Ioane could come in and be a starter right away. Eagles at 23. Going to go Colton Hood, who I think is really good. He's had a great season for Tennessee. And when there was an injury to Jermod McCoy, somebody had to step up. Colton Hood absolutely did. The Eagles really need an upgrade at corner. And Hood is someone that has absolutely played his way into the first round. Can be a lockdown type of guy on the outside. And it's hard to go a different direction there for Philadelphia. I think corner is a glaring hole. The Bills have a lot of different needs. I'd love to go corner or safety. There are some good linebackers. I saw PFF finally added Josiah Trotter to the mock draft machine. But I'm going to go receiver. Denzel Boston of Washington. Here's the thing. He's got a little bit of Keon Coleman to his game, where he's a big receiver and lacks a little bit of juice. I think Boston has better hands. Coleman made a lot of splash plays at Florida State. I thought he could be an effective NFL player, and he really hasn't been. He can't separate. Denzel Boston's a bit better, and I think you just really need an upgrade for Josh Allen. Receiver is so weak in Buffalo, especially on the outside. Boston can play on the outside. No doubt about that. At number 25, have the Bears. We're going to go Amari Washington. Been great this year. Hopefully we continue to see some big-time performances as Oregon makes a bit of a run here, because I'd love to see more of Amari Washington. It's been a little bit up and down. He's powerful as hell. He's big as hell. And the Bears cannot stop the run. So bad against the run. It's Washington or Caden McDonald. Caleb Banks would be fun too, because he can get after the QB a little bit. And the Bears also sorely lack that. But we're going to go Amari Washington today. 49ers at 26. We're going Caden Proctor. I look at the 49ers. I really wanted to go trenches here. And I thought about edge a lot. There's just not a player that I really felt great about. It's TJ Parker at this spot. maybe Mateo Uyunglele, maybe Zion Young. A lot of these guys are designated pass rushers to me. I don't know that Romello Height is a first-round player. I don't know that R. Mason Thomas or Joshua Josephs are first-round players. I like them as pass rushers a lot. They just typically don't have the profile, or they don't have the profile that teams typically take inside the first round. So it's tough to get those guys off the board. They invested in interior defensive line last year. Banks, McDonald, Christian Miller made a ton of sense. But in the end, I went Caden Proctor because he does not necessarily have to play right away. He can learn from one of the greatest left tackles in the history of the game in Trent Williams, or potentially move inside to guard. You got some options, but at the end of the day, I think Caden Proctor is too big and overall athletic to get out of the first round, even though I don't love the tape. That's kind of what it is. So I think he got a good group to learn under, especially Trent Williams. Don't need to play him at left tackle right away. But the upside with Proctor, because of his size and overall athleticism, is great. We'll see if a team can unlock that. Texans at 27. I'm going to go Chase Besantis here. He's one of the best pass-protecting interior offensive linemen in this class. And even though I think the offensive line for the Texans has played better of late, I still think it's a need. It's never a bad idea to protect your franchise quarterback, which I think C.J. Stroud absolutely is. Besantis can pass protect. I think the Texans would be well-served to go in this type of direction. Browns at 28. Thought about this one a while as well because went with Jordan Tyson at 6. There's no quarterback worth taking. We're sticking with Shedeur Sanders at this point. Guard is a big need. And there are some good ones like Emmanuel Pregnon, but I don't know if he's going to be a first-round pick. So I'm going to introduce somebody new. And that is Georgia's Monroe Freeling. Big, but nimble. And I think you could see on a really good Georgia team, I think you could see him end up getting some hype into the top 50, and maybe that means first round. The Browns certainly need to upgrade tackle. And I think Freeling's got a chance to come in and start soon. So you get an athletic big man. There's something to work with there. I feel like he could end up getting some first-round hype. And for the Browns, it's just a big position of need as well. There just weren't too many easy fits for Cleveland at 28. Decided to get Freeling some love. As we move to the Rams at 29, kind of another interesting spot because another team like the Browns with a couple of first-round picks went Mansour Delane at 13. I'm not convinced that the Rams need to go tackle here. And there's not a quarterback worth taking. So, like, McClendon has played well, right? Warren McClendon, a healthy Alaric Jackson, pretty good. So, if you like what you've seen enough out of Warren McClendon, why would you take a tackle here if you feel like you have two good young tackles of the future? I don't know that it needs to be. But I know that you can continue to make a strength and improve it even more. And I kind of like the idea of Caden McDonald on this Rams team. Poona Ford is 30. Kobe Turner is awesome. But you could get some more in there. Like, I know they have Ty Hamilton. They've got Tyler Davis. Not a lot beyond that. We know it definitely pays to rotate your defensive linemen, especially on the interior. It's a tough game to play. So keeping guys fresh, getting them in and out is a good idea. And a guy like Caden McDonald that can just eat space and hold the point of attack, that makes your job easier if you're Kobe Turner. It makes your job easier if you're Jared Verse getting one-on-ones and Byron Young off the edge. I know interior defensive line maybe doesn't seem like the biggest need, but I looked a lot at the team and how they've been playing, and I feel like, look at the future. Guys under contract, guys who are aging. I don't know that this is an impossibility. Patriots at 30. Going to go TJ Parker, maybe just the true best three-down edge player available. I think the Patriots could use help off the edge. Getting a better pass rush is never a bad idea. TJ Parker was not all that I wanted him to be after a very good 2024, but you look at the size. He should end up having pretty good length and test pretty well. Could end up going in round 1. At 31, Denver Broncos. Going to go Kenyon Sadiq. He's still available. Why? He's maybe a top 10 player in the draft. He really hasn't been that productive for Oregon. You know, whether they're choosing to go to a receiver or choosing to go to a different tight end. I really thought Jamari Johnson would be in the draftable players. He is draft eligible, but he's been producing more. I mean, I think it might be tough for the NFL to take a position like tight end that is not highly valued, and then you have Kenyon Sadiq not actually producing like a Brock Bowers or even close to it, or Tyler Warren or a Colston Loveland even. He might have comparable production to Colston Loveland because Loveland had an awful situation with Davis Warren and Alex Orji at Michigan a couple years ago. But Kenyon Sadiq, it's hard to find a spot for him. I think he's a great player. I've got him at 31 because I think the Broncos really could use an upgraded tight end, or linebacker really would be the two standout positions for me. You could maybe even consider corner as well, but Sadiq is a huge boost to this offense. Really athletic, kind of more of a move tight end. He's not really going to be a great blocker in line just because he's a bit smaller. It's going to be tough to hold his own against defensive ends. But he's certainly good in space and is a great receiving option. And I think a big upgrade to this Broncos tight end group. As we finish things off with the Seattle Seahawks, currently in line to win the Super Bowl, I suppose. And you've got a couple different options. I think safeties in play, then corners in play, linebacker, and then trenches. Our offensive line, I would say. And I've decided in the end to go Brandon Cisse because Tariq Woolen might be gone. The only corners under contract, I believe, it's Devin Witherspoon, and I don't even know if I can name the other one. Nehemiah Pritchett is the other one. I think Job is out. Okada's got an expiring contract. Obviously, he's a safety, and he's played great. But you've got some needs in the secondary with these expiring contracts. Cisse's a really good athlete, so if you love the speed of Tariq Woolen, well, if you lose him, you've got an option to replace him with the super athletic Brandon Cisse, who was not teammates with Nicky Manwari last year. Cisse was a transfer, I think, from NC State to South Carolina. So he never played with Nicky Manwari, but now would get a chance to on arguably the best defense in the league. That is the mock draft. A little bit long-winded today, but I had a lot to say about a lot. So thank you so much for watching. 2027 draft video coming in the near future. Saints franchise maybe tomorrow. And then got a fun rebuild coming at some point as well. So a lot more football to come. I was away and then sick in December. Didn't really get a chance to do any work at all. As fun as this is, it is still a job, and I didn't really get to do it. So even though I'm going to make less in January, I'm pumping out the content. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Take it easy.